Hello, everyone. Hi, this is a very my name is Eddie. I'm from IsoChrono.com, watch media website, and I'm here with Sugi from Red Army Watches. You saw the very interesting intro just now, and we're actually in Watch Wonderland, which is your store in Suntec City, right?
Yeah.
And we're here today to talk about a watch that I am very passionate about, from a brand that I'm also very passionate about. It's the Tourbillon one from Horage. Now, this is a very interesting watch, and the main highlight about the watch is that it is a tourbillon, first of all, and it is also a very accessibly priced tourbillon. In fact, the price, what is the price?
Well, in Swiss franc, it's 7,490
Yeah.
Stainless steel version, which is about 12,000 in Singapore dollars.
Yeah. So at the moment right now, if you wanted to get a Swiss-made tourbillon, you're probably looking at twice that. And what Horage is offering is pretty spectacular in my view. The watch itself is as a 904L steel case, 41 millimeters, 120-hour power reserve, which is very impressive.
From one single barrel.
Yeah, one single barrel, and silicon escapement as well.
But
so
before that, I mean, I'm interested to know how many viewers I can see from here. How many? 72? 72, buddy.
Okay.
Our target was 10 only, right?
I thought it was
5.
5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
72
Okay.
is pretty good.
So happy.
We hope more of
we are
you.
on the way to our influencer status, bro.
That's true. We hope more of you guys will join us. I've certainly contacted a lot of my friends.
Okay.
Hi, friends. So one of the special things that we have today is that we have 2 special guests from Horage. Basically, we have Andi Felsl, who was the founder of Horage, and we have Landon Stirling, who is in charge of communications and
marketing.
And marketing. And okay, we'll talk about Andi later, but Landon has done an exceptional job in building a community. One of the things that I think you see it as well on the social media, and building a brand, building a tribe of loyal followers, so to speak, right? I mean, very impressive when you think, Sugi.
Yeah, I think in the past 1 year especially, right, you can see that there's a tremendous amount of publicity on the brand. They are very active on the social media, Facebook, and only I think yesterday there was a feature on Coding Key as well on the Tourbillon.
Oh, really?
You know,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your competitor, of course.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have a look at that. But we're going to talk to Andi as well. Andi is the founder of Horage. And Andi, I feel, has probably, out of all the 4 of us here, the biggest balls in the room.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think coming from a non-watch background, it's even ballsier, right?
Yes, and the reason why I say that is because approximately 10 years ago, he made the courageous decision to start a company to build their own in-house, which is called the K1. In this watch here is the OTA. I mean, that's sort of unheard of. You've got a small brand and you've got to find resources. It's not expensive. It's not cheap to make an in-house movement. And they've basically been able to do that. A long struggle. Everything could have gone wrong at any time, but now we have a Tourbillon on the table after the K1.
Yeah, it's a huge leap. I mean, coming from a young startup like Horage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, myself, I was exposed to the brand back in 2015, so
Okay.
it was 6 years ago. Stumbled upon the Kickstarter program basically on K1.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting for me to find out that as for a new startup in Swiss industry, watchmaking industry, they dare to come up with their own movement.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's a ballsy move, right? It's something unheard of actually.
Yeah, and the thing about Sugi, is that you've actually taken a step to become a retailer for Horage.
Yep, I do.
Yeah. So your
Okay,
Horage
even
watches are available at the 2 boutiques under Red Army Watches. So what made you decide to take them on to represent them in Singapore?
Well, first impression was, of course, when you find out that there are a new brand in the industry, and they decided from the get-go to actually do their own movements, becoming a true manufacturer. It's amazing, right? Because unheard of really in the industry for a small startup to do that. And the more I learn about the people, the team, especially Andi, I think they have a very strong focus on engineering.
Yes.
Meaning to say that everything is about precision, right? Everything is about utilizing the best resources around them. I mean, for those who are not aware, they are based in Beyond, and Beyond is basically the city where Rolex Omega is there.
Armstrong as well.
Armstrong is next to them.
Yeah.
Basically. So a lot of suppliers of different parts are surrounding the company, and that's what I like about the company, right? Focus on engineering, and besides that, you can see as well that from day one, it's all about giving the best value to customers, right? So these are the
and one of the things that I like about their first movement, the K1, is that it has a feature set which is unlike what if you're a watch brand and typically you want to buy a movement from ITA, you would tend to be restricted to what you can buy off the shelf. The K1 offers 65 hours of power reserve, big date, and a power reserve indicator, And I've been wearing this watch, the Otak 10 year, for some time, and it's held up very well, very accurate, very robust, which is great because essentially what you're getting when you buy a Horage is an in-house movement that has the reliability and capability that you expect in most other Swiss made.
Yeah, precisely. Right? And not to forget as well that the K1 was built in view of having different modules sitting on top of it, right?
Yeah.
So you might get different complications in the future out of this movement. And I also learned about the frequency of the movement. It's very rare to have a movement which is beating at 3.5 hertz because usually you get 3 or 4, right? Nothing in between, right? So
that's actually a very that's specific to Omega. Omega does that for their coaxial movements.
Okay.
So it's interesting choice.
And the tungsten rotor as well.
Yes.
That is something interesting.
So I mean, from the K1 we went to Horage went to do Tourbillon, the Tourbillon 1, and the key things, as I mentioned before, in-house built, affordable. The in-house thing is a whole saga in itself. But in a short while, we're gonna transfer over to Switzerland, where Horage is, and they will be showing us their manufacture, giving us a little tour, and also to show us some of the parts that make up the Tourbillon 1. So we're looking forward to that.
Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at a comment here from Jeffrey and George as well. There's an echo, man. Has it been fixed? There's an echo somewhere. Okay.
We've got a... Okay, we're trying to sort out some microphone issues.
Okay, better start singing. Maybe.
Well, I mean,
anyway, let's port over to Beyond.
Yeah.
Andy is waiting, and we try to fix the problem as well with the echo. So yeah, good morning. Sorry, good afternoon, Beyond. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Hi, hello.
Hey guys.
Hey guys.
So we are right after lunch here, and welcome in Switzerland. Although we sit away, I don't know how many thousands of miles it is or kilometers, so quite far away. And yeah, we listened to your introduction. It was very good.
So we're yeah. Thanks for having us here, guys. Just wanted to make sure we had the echo sorted out on your end.
Yeah.
As Andy said, we're just back here in the facility. We're at THE Plus, where we actually manufacture all the tourbillon parts. And today we're going to take you through and show you a little bit about the production, meet with some of the engineers at their workstations, and then dive into the tourbillon watch, some of the parts, as well as some of the different movement colors, and answer any questions you have.
Yeah, so one of the curious things, I just want to know how, I just want to see how big that space is, and what it takes to actually create the Tourbillon 1.
Do we do that now?
So, would you like us to take you on the tour now, Andi?
Yeah, of course, please.
Okay,
Yeah, good,
so
good.
Just give us a moment. We're going to switch cameras
Yeah.
and microphones, and then we'll be right back. Just hang tight.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the things about the Tourbillon 1 that I really enjoy is the fact that it's skeletonized. So essentially, it's a lesson in watchmaking, right? You get to see the gear train, you get to see all the bits and pieces that make up a beating watch, and then on top of that, you get to see how a tourbillon working in all its glory, right?
And it's done in a very highly high grade fashion as well in terms of finishing, because if you look at the skeletonized part, right, it's not the normal those cursive kind of finishing or engraving. This is more done in a squarish manner, and if you look closely on the part, you can see there's a 30 degrees angles beveling for many of the parts. So you get this interplay of polish and brush finish as well on the plate. Yeah.
All right, guys. So we're here.
All right. So yes, we are going to join Horage for the tour.
Yeah. We just moved out of our little camera studio to show you around in our place. small parts don't need big facilities, and densely packed area is always better than just a regular area. So what you will see is all the things which happen here are around here. Jonas, can you be a little bit more quiet? Thank you. So here in the middle, we have the engineering team is very, very closely connected to the area where we actually do things. We do not make machining here. We actually source from all around this area, 50 kilometers around Biel, where we have all the infrastructure and suppliers. So we are focusing really on design, engineering, and on all the necessary quality control and assembly steps. That's what we are doing. And so I'm showing you around here. So for example, on the left side of that area, we are having like a machine in order to set the stones into the plates. 100% control, in fact, of the force and the distance and the height of the stones. We are building all our tools by ourselves. So that's actually where the true know-how comes from. We have 174 parts, for example, in the K1 and 110 roughly in the Tourbillon. And we have 54 sub-assemblies. So we need to do all these components and assemblies and jigs and fixtures by ourselves. Then here we come to a storage place that's called the T0 storage. So everything, all the parts go in and out from this place, and it's full, roughly 5,000 sets of movement components. I'm going to show you something here, which is rare to see. That's a wafer, a silicon wafer. I hope I can take that out. So that's where you usually make chips from, electronic chips. But that's where we make our escapements, which are also in the Tourbillon. Or some other parts, which you can see here. That's also something nice to look at. Calendar discs of a movement. So from here, we actually take out the parts, and then on this area, we have several assembly places where we actually assemble 2 pieces together, or 3 pieces. That's called the T0 assembly. That's the pre-assembly when the parts come from manufacturing. When they come in also, we have one of the most important equipment here is actually the quality control equipment. So you can see a high resolution microscope. That's not exactly a very cheap device, but without that, the people can't work. And you can see these are the teeth, and you can see just some dirt, how big the dirt is getting. The dirt is our enemy, and we need to get rid of that dirt. So everything is constantly checked. It goes in and out of this area. So let's walk around here. And there's another storage here, one T1 assembly. And here Laurent is actually putting together components on a round transfer system. We call this a Renferring. That's the very early stage of semi-automation. And you see here, he's actually assembling or disassembling components like that, and the operator can then move forward the next steps. That's an industrial scale approach. Lenny is here. I will walk on the other side.
Hi, everyone.
He can speak very well English, by the way.
Very well, yeah.
So here on this area, we are actually measuring the precision and the accuracy of the watches. After assembly, they go to Lenny, and every watch needs to be regulated to cost level accuracy. That's what we do. That's our philosophy. If we pass cost, that's a different thing, but we do it in order to make sure that we are in time. So we have this regulating area, and here we have some nice parts from the Tourbillon one, actually disassembled the most important parts. Very nice. Here you see from right to left, that's actually the balance wheel bridge. Underneath, that's a distance holder. This is the silicone components, the regulating units. This is a bearing, that's a spring, that's a second wheel, and that's the whole thing assembled. And that thing then goes into here. And that's a plate from the other side, and that's the open main barrel which powers the whole thing. So
Andy, can you tell us more about the tourbillon cage? Because I read something about that. Very interesting material that you use.
yeah, so we are using titanium grade 5 material. That's why you get this grayish look also. Why we do use titanium? Because you want to have a very lightweight cage. So the whole unit is actually moving back and forth, and we want to have that as light as possible. Cheaper tourbillons, or not necessarily always cheaper, some other tourbillons use steel or brass parts because it's much more easy to machine than titanium. But titanium gives you this performance advantage. And I think we are at 0.28 grams, something like that.
0.29.
0.29 grams.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's nothing. It's in
So-
fact nothing. And we are in the
Right.
ballpark of the best ones.
Okay, and how do you achieve the blue color on the plate there?
That's actually called a PVD coating. Blue you can only achieve with PVD, whereas gray or gold or other things you would do with chemical wet plating. Yeah, it's more easy. PVD is a little bit like a rare egg, so that's why we also have more cost on the blue. And this one here, this grayish dark, that's a DLC coating, diamond-like coating, because when we have an open spring, we want to make sure that when the spring is slipping through, that no rub-off is created, and this rub-off in a skeletonized movement obviously would go somewhere. So that's why we need to hard coat that with a diamond-like coating system. So very nice parts overall. Here in this area, we assemble over flow boxes, so the air is always pushing out the dust. As I said, dust is our enemy, especially Silvan's enemy. He doesn't like it at all, and that's why we need to assemble the T1 assembly and the complete assembly under this constant airflow situation. Here we can also see some area watches which are ready for assembly. A lot of quality control equipment, and Jonas is also around here. I need to get to the other side, so you hear me in a better way. He can also speak English, but he doesn't want to.
Hi, Jonas.
Next time in Singapore. Yeah, he's actually putting together some rare stuff, which is called a micro rotor. Just the first
Micro rotor.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, you're seeing them, not only tourbillons here, you know.
Okay.
We can do other stuff also.
But we cannot reveal too much now, right? That will be for the next session, right?
We can't say too much, otherwise we don't need another show, you know.
Exactly.
Alright. And we should get several shows. So
Okay, just one more question. From assembly to finish, assembly of the
Yeah.
movement to finish watch for the tourbillon, how
Yeah.
many days does it take? Including
it
the
depends
testing
on-
as well.
It depends on how you look at it. The T0, the pre-assembly, I would say in order to start until we can finish a set of pre-assembled parts, we need 6 months. And then
6 months.
Yeah, when you get all the parts in, and you need to do the pre-assemblies. And then when you have the pre-assemblies, I would say, in order to make, we do not do one by one. As you see, we do it on a round transfer system. So we make 20 in a batch in order to do that. And so it's a little bit hard to say how long it takes, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm interested to see
And
the
when you
fantastic
do cost,
close-up
you know,
camera that they have. They have
I
a
mean,
very
when you do
close
cost-
look at the watch.
Sure.
Yeah.
That will be it.
When you do COSC, we also need to wait 15 days. So we are actually assembling the watches, then we are testing them internally. Then they go down the road 500 meters for COSC certification. 15 days later, they come back. Then we encase them, actually. COSC is without the case.
That near. Okay.
Yeah, it's just 500
Super near you guys. Wow.
our neighbors. Yeah, that's why.
Who's to your left? Who's to your left? Who's to your right? I mean, Strom is to your left, right?
Armin Strom is that way. That's also the way where Omega is. Then the Swatch
Okay.
Water is that way, and Rolex is that way. So.
All right, guys. Okay.
So, then the
Okay.
world market leader in bearings is that way, and one of the world market leaders in machining technology that way. They're all here. That's why, it doesn't make any sense for movement makers to go and source in China. There's no need. They're all here.
Andy, shall we return to your close-up
Yeah.
camera? Let's have a closer look at the watch. In the meantime, one of the things that I like about Horage is that you would imagine, given the price, which is 7,490 Swiss francs, that they would be cutting corners somehow, right?
Well, yeah, I think that's in everybody's mind as well, right?
Yeah.
How can a watch brand possibly, do a tourbillon, a complete watch
Yes, tourbillon.
at that price?
So, I mean, I'm curious to know, Andy, if you could answer that question, because the price that you're offering a tourbillon is pretty fantastic. It's basically half of what is currently available now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why we do that? Yeah, I mean, you asked me one time if we cut corners, but I can say compared to what we originally did and the movement originally we used, for sure not, because we have increased power reserve and we managed to improve the accuracy. Why do we manage to get this price? Because we think like industrial engineering group. We make parts in a way that they come off the machine and they can be easily assembled. You do not need to rework them by hand. And that actually holds the price under control. The other part is we only produce more or less on order, that we don't have overproduction. Because most of the price is driven by overproduction, some watches sitting somewhere in a shelf, and then you need to discount that, and this discount needs to be reflected in margins and artificial margins, and that's what we try to avoid. So top engineering in order to make it producible. That doesn't mean cheap, I mean, don't mix up well producible with cheap. That's a difference. A well-produced product is well designed, good engineering. Other part is business model, don't overproduce.
Okay.
I understand as well that you actually placed the tourbillon one on one of your friends, a triathlete, and it went through a whole triathlon, right?
I saw the Facebook as well. I saw the video interview on that guy, Benson, his name, I think.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. Tell us more about that. How did it happen? The collaboration.
Yeah, that was a very interesting thing. It's Benson Ko. He is from Taiwan, actually a chef, and that's actually the movement which was in that watch. It says Ironman analysis. So we got it back.
Okay.
Ironman analysis. We got it back in order to have a look at it if it works. And so yeah, we have a little bit much light here. And he's a triathlete and a very good chef consultant in Taiwan, and he loves that product. And he thought, shouldn't we try to give that product a treatment in a real Ironman in Taiwan? And we said,
okay. So Andy, so just to clarify, an Ironman, there are three components: there's the running, there's the cycling, and there's the swimming, right?
Yes.
And that watch went through all of that.
Yes, through all of that, it was raining cats and dogs in Taiwan, and we were swimming in the seawater. So it was a real, and when you're sitting on a specialized time trial machine and your hands are shaking like this over, 70 kilometers, or what's the distance which I did? Yeah. That's crazy, and we got the watch back and it worked fine. It was a little bit off, but that's natural when you shake a watch for 6 hours like crazy through rain and through rough terrain. And perhaps that's the first tourbillon which probably went through an Ironman, I guess. And everybody was happy. It didn't suck water. Yeah, it's cool. You can see some pictures in Facebook on him passing through with, on the one hand, a Garmin watch, on the other hand, the Horage Tourbillon 1. So real life.
I think there's even a YouTube interview in Chinese.
I mean, for me, one of the things that I always look at when in relation to tourbillons, this particular tourbillon is a flying tourbillon, right? Yeah. So what a flying tourbillon is it's secured on only one side, not two sides, which means that there is a possibility that it can be affected by shock. So what you're telling me is that you've basically made a tourbillon that went through an Ironman, came out unscathed, 100 meter water resistance held up, the shock resistance aspect held up. So how did you do it? Like, what were the technical aspects of the watch that helped to strengthen it and be allow it to go through a full triathlon?
I think the shock resistance is probably the most interesting part, but because everybody says flying tourbillons are a little bit, fragile princesses, but that's because of the construction. And since I showed you before, there's on the table there was a big part, a bearing. We put that tourbillon on a bearing, as you can see it here. So these are the screws here, which hold the whole case. Usually you have traditional stones, rubies, in which there's a pin. And then, of course, when you get a hard impact, you can bend that pin. But in that case, there's a very good construction here, which allows to really resist large impacts or constant impacts. And that's something very engineering-like. I doubt you will see that in any other tourbillon watch. That's probably shows a little bit our history of having engineered other stuff in other industries.
Okay.
And this gives this tourbillon the rigidity, so you don't need to worry about it. It's really for daily wear.
Okay. Now, let's look at aesthetic now, okay? When I first saw the tourbillon, the complete watch, I thought the squarish pattern on the watch, it's a part of the dial, actually. And then only later I found out that it's part of it's actually the movement plate. Can you tell us more about the, what is the inspiration of that pattern? Why you decide to do, skeletonized squarish pattern on the plate of the movement?
Yeah, it has something to do with our name. People who look closely at our name, you can see that in the movie, see that we have squares, little squares in the logo, which are inspired by the New York subway station font. And we thought, why not using those squares and put them into a design in order to make it look through. We didn't want to make it completely skeletonized, because then very often it's hard to read. We wanted to have a well-readable tourbillon where you can see the inner workings, and those squares somehow fit very well to our logo, to our style, and to what we wanted to achieve, that you can see the majority part of everything, but not everything, not in a blunt way. And when you wear it on the wrist, you have the feeling it has a dial, but it hasn't. And that was, I think, the main point we wanted to achieve. And also, of course, there's a big discussion of some people want dials, some people don't want dials. You can't do it right for everybody, but we started with that because we think this fits both wishes in a very good way. And that's why we went for that semi-skeletonized look-through design.
Okay. So Sugi, one of the things about this watch, I mean, the birth of this watch wasn't exactly easy. There was a bit of a situation that occurred last year. So I just want to explain to you guys what happened. When I first met Horage, when they came to Singapore, at the time the watch, the essential parts of the watch were actually made in collaboration with a very famous movement maker in Switzerland, La Jouperet. And then there was some production difficulties along the way, and then in the end the collaboration ended. And at that point in time, the brand could have chosen to just abandon the whole project, right? It's a much easier thing to do. But then they doubled down and they went in and decided to say, okay, I'm just gonna look around and see what I can do. And then in the end, what we have is basically every single part in this watch right now is made by Horage.
100%,
right? So one of the interesting things about that fact is that if you are one of those people that pre-ordered the Tourbillon 1 at that point in time, you are getting a nice watch. I mean, no doubt about it, right? But then now you are getting a fully in-house watch. Like there's every single bit in there is fully in-house. So for me, it's like if you were to buy a plane ticket, economy class, right? And you turn up at the airport, and you get upgraded to business class. Essentially,
I like that. I like that.
What it is.
Yeah, I like that knowledge.
Right?
Yeah.
That usually happens only in birthdays, the upgrade.
Well, I think it's not only about the fact that it's all now 100% in-house, but also I think quality-wise, performance-wise,
Yeah.
it's better. Because I watched the video that they did, explaining about why they ended, why they moved on to doing in-house parts.
Mhm.
They mentioned as well that they were not happy. They were not happy with the quality of the
Okay.
previous parts.
Previous years.
And since now they are taking full control over the manufacturing, they can assure that the quality is much better now.
Yeah, and I think it's because K1 was a difficult process. So I mean, if you've climbed the mountain, then you go for the next higher one, right? So engineering a tourbillon movement I think it's less than a year basically after that whole situation happened.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another set of balls to Andy right there. I mean, that's so he's got 4 balls now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds kind of weird. So yeah. But okay, I just wanna go over to, from a customer point of view, if you want to buy this watch, there are lots of options that are available, and Landon has been doing a bang up job in the social media. He's also been instrumental in creating these options for you if you are interested to buy this watch. And I think we're going to take a look at the configurator, they call it, right? So what this means is that I know you like a gold watch.
Yeah,
right?
that was my first.
Okay, so tell me about your gold Tourbillon one.
Okay, so if someone can show you have a picture of that? Okay, thanks, man. My first choice, is gold because if you look at a combination here, it's just so striking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gold plate, and the case is stainless steel non-plated.
Yeah.
And there's just a nice contrast there when you look at the watch. It has this high-end luxury feels,
Yeah.
the whole thing, and
This is like an old man kind of style, I
and
think.
it helps that the case is made of 1904. Yes, I'm getting old. I mean, by this older, of course, it's always older than me.
Okay, so
the case is made of 904L.
yeah.
That means when you look at the case, it has this higher level of brilliance. It's more.
They call it luster.
Luster, right?
Yeah, I think that's the word.
And of course, it helps as well that it's better in terms of corrosion resistance.
Yeah.
Compared to
So I mean,
316L.
basically, if you wanted to make this watch happen, you would go into the Horage website, right?
Yes.
And the configurator. And so for that, I think Landon, maybe show us a little bit on the process of how I would, spec out my watch, because basically the combinations are there are lots of combinations available, right?
Yeah, so configuration has always been a core element of Horage and how we set up our products. We started with modularity, in all of our movements. And the first project we did this was with Multiply, which offered customers up to 48 different variations, and that enabled people to configure the 18 different functions of Multiply, the K1 movement, and basically add in different straps, materials, and what have you to come up with the configuration of their choice. So we've just expanded on that. And with the Tourbillon, we've offered 2 different case options. So if you go to our configurator, it's very easy to find. You just go to the Tourbillon one page, and then it asks you if you want to customize. And then you're presented with a few different options. So we have 904L stainless steel, and you can get that in polished or brushed. And you can also go for a gold case upgrade, which is also coming with a polished or a brushed bezel. And that's the bezel surface that is either brushed or polished. So once you select your case material, you can then select your movement option. And as we click on that, you'll see all the different movements pop up. So we have silver, we have gold, we have gray, and then we have the gray, blue, and the blue combinations. And they're priced a little bit more because, as Andy reiterated earlier on, is that those are PVD coated. It's a more costly process, and it just involves more work and more cost. So that's why we do have a slight upgrade there. So once you select what you would like to have there, you're presented with all the different options below with the different straps. The straps are produced here in Switzerland, just up the road from us. handmade leather straps, and we also have the Allure Blue, which is a vegan option for somebody who's not looking for leather. And yeah, and then from there, you simply click on the option that you wish, and it'll take you through to the checkout. And anybody who's joining us today, if they want to use this configurator to communicate a specific spec with Watch Wonderland or Red Army watches, just do a screen grab from there. You can also take something from here and just share that with Sugi in the comments. So it's a very, very intuitive way to find all the different options, to see how different things work. In total, there's 160 different options, and an additional option that we do have at checkout is to do the COSC chronometer certification upgrade. And on the case back, it will actually say chronometer certified, and you'll get an official document from COSC with the actual readout for the way the watch performed during a 15-day trial there.
Well, you know, one of the things that I really enjoyed when I looked into the box of the Tourbillon one was this little piece of paper right here. Is a cost certificate for the particular watch. It's quite rare to see this nowadays. You get the full performance report of the movement. One of those nice little things that it's not really very common nowadays, that a brand gives you the official paperwork from COSC itself. And the thing about having a COSC option in the Tourbillon one is that there are lots of watches out there you can buy with the Tourbillon. Many watches with the Tourbillon. However, most of them don't really care about accuracy.
Yeah.
And that's strange. That's a very strange thing, because it was invented by Abraham Louis Breguet for accuracy. And so you would think that if a watch brand were to make a Tourbillon watch, that they would
be accurate, right?
want to show people that it was accurate.
Yeah.
So out of the many brands out there, there are a few that I can think of that basically do this. Tag Heuer is one. Chopard does chronometer certify their watches as well for the Tourbillons. But not many, generally speaking.
And not many, charging like what Horage is charging
Well, I mean,
for the upgrade, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is that if I were to buy this watch, I would be getting the COSC option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would do it as well.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I think I see one question here from the audience, which is related to one of our questions that we have lined up as well. Why the obsession, to make your own movement? Why not just buy ETA or Celita and go with that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Number one, when we started, you need to get them. That was a problem. So, people who followed the Swiss watch industry knows that there was an issue with ETA, that they didn't sell to newcomers anyhow, and then they were phasing out the supply because the Swiss watch industry is de facto a monopoly. And the other thing is that, Celita at this time was not ready, and not everybody wants to have one and the same movement in different watches. And I think personally, as someone who has a certain ambition, we have a certain ambition building a brand which delivers a best possible product we can do for an acceptable price. That's what we do. And I can't do that when my movement has only 38 powers of power reserve, because I can't buy anything else. And there are companies who are doing better products, the likes of Rolex and so on, and also this watch group. And if we do not compete on the precision and on the performance of a watch, we have no justification to exist, in my opinion. Because just doing a Photoshop exercise and say we are cool designers and make some nice watches doesn't classify us as being a watch brand, personally. I think we should do the hard job. Yeah.
One thing I'm interested into, if you could distill it for me, what is your basic philosophy? So to give you an idea of what I mean, for example, a brand like Rolex, right? They make reliable watches for every day. A little bit of a sense of achievement if you buy a Rolex, right? For Patek, it's all about preserving the tradition of watchmaking and all that kind of stuff. So, what is Horage in terms of that kind of idea? How should we think of Horage as a brand?
To be honest, it's not that far different. We just can't claim that people decorate themselves with a very old and strong brand. But what we can say is that people who buy our products are usually well informed, and these people expect a certain degree of product quality and performance. And that's what we do. We try to make the best possible product we can by applying good engineering and put that in a price category where it addresses or it has a certain audience. We are not cheap, as I said. I mean, it's still a lot of money, and paying a couple of thousand for watches, people need to save money for that. But the people who buy our stuff, they know what they get for. They get a lot of watch for an acceptable price. And I think that's what makes us a little bit different, yeah. I would say we invest a lot in the product itself. Probably we are not that strong on the marketing side, and we are getting much stronger.
Guys, thanks for you.
Come on.
Before that guy wasn't in our place, we didn't have marketing. And now we have very good marketing, I want to say that. But we traditionally, engineering and manufacturing driven companies are not so strong because you only have so much money available. You can't split the dollars 50 times. So.
Yeah, and that's the reason why community and connecting with individuals on a personal basis. I mean, just last weekend we had a customer that had said he wanted to come and pick up his tourbillon, and he came over and had met up with Andi, and we just have an open door policy. So if anybody is here in the chat and wants to come by and see the facility, they're able to come by and see us making watches and see and ask and speak to us firsthand. And growing that community enables us to, I guess, in a more financially speaking, we're able to invest more in engineering by really having deep connections with our customer base.
The thing about you guys is that, my opinion, I don't know if you feel the same way. Your approach to watchmaking is, I would say, very pure. You're doing it in the right way, the way that there's basically no BS in the approach. And not only that, you're offering what you produce at an honest price. It's basically that. I feel that it's sort of the way to do things if you were committed to living your life in a good way. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean, I feel that if, for example, this watch that I've been wearing on my wrist, it's the Otak 10-year. It's one of my, aside from the Tourbillon one, it's another one of my favorite watches from the brand. It has a hardened titanium, the K1 movement. It has a nice big date. It's a unique design, an integrated bracelet, and so on. So, how much is this? This is
retailing about 3,000.
About 3,000 something Sing dollars. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned about being pure, right? But I also look at it as being unorthodox in terms of how they actually develop the whole system, the whole manufacturing. It's very much just like a precision engineering, concept where I think it's because of Andy's background, right?
Yeah.
He comes from the engineering background as well. So I think it's very focused, very much focused on engineering.
Yeah.
I think that's the key to this brand being able to come up with their own in-house movements at that kind of pricing.
So I mean, guys, what we're gonna do now is some of you know Sugi, you know him well, you know how big he is, and so on. So he's gonna put on the watch. We have a Otak. Not Otak, a Tourbillon one, and we're just gonna tell me.
I'm not
Sugi,
big, man.
I just want to get your
5.7 feet tall. I'm not big.
Just want to get your opinion on the watch.
Okay, Jeffrey would like to see some close-up shots of the.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Good picture.
Yeah, looking good.
There you go. So just a little bit on the aesthetic. As you might have actually found out already, the skeletonized part is part of the movement. It's not the dial. And if you look closely on some, macro shot of the image of the movements, you will see like a lot of bevelings there, like probably about 30 degrees bevelings. And you can see as well there's an interplay of polish and brush finish. Now, I was just looking at the comments just now. There's one question on what is the difference between polish and brush. Okay, let me just point to you. On the bezel here, you see a shine finish. That is what we call polish. So you can see like a mirror finish, like you can see yourself on the surface of the watch. Whereas on the side profile of the watch, you will see a vertical, this is not vertical, this horizontal brush finish. Okay, so you can see the lines there. Yeah, so I hope I answered your questions. I think
Sugi is a very nice watch, but how do you like it? How does it wear?
No, it's meant to be a dress watch, right? Yeah. The case is the safe round shape, but the main attention, the main star here, Eddie, is the movement. Okay, and I think the case shouldn't take away that attention. Someone like me will be I'll be mesmerized by just looking at the tourbillon cage moving. It's very soothing. It doesn't have much functions in terms of like chronograph, or doesn't even have date, but I can imagine myself wearing this day in day out, just admiring the movement of the cage.
I mean, it's a very nice watch. I certainly, and Sugi, while you take that off and pass it over to me, I'm just going to show. This is the autark that I've been going on about that I've been wearing. It's a beautiful watch. It has this nice brushed, vertically brushed finishing on the dial. It has a big date. Power reserve indicator at 6 o'clock. It's a really nice piece, and I've been enjoying this. This is under review, and check out IsoChrono.com quite soon, and we will have more information about this.
Titanium as well.
Titanium, titanium. So
how do you feel like
800 Vickers, practically feel like it's nothing on the wrist, which is very nice. You go do sports or anything with it, it's perfect basically. So now I'm gonna look at the Tourbillon 1. I'm gonna put it on. It's always exciting to put on a Tourbillon. So this watch has a 41mm case. Hold on. Oops. Okay. 41mm case, and yeah, it feels nice. I would personally go for more brushed finishing, because I'm not a showy guy like Sugi. I don't like to shine that much. I would perhaps go for a gray movement plate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you will choose a brush finish for even the bezel as well.
Yes. I'm that kind of guy. I tend not to like polish that much.
So on the configurator, you can actually choose, right, what kind of finish you want for the case as well, like bezel, side profile.
So we're just gonna jump in here, because on the configurator, it's choosing a polished or a brushed bezel. Okay, the case side will stay the same.
All brush.
And we just noticed a comment in here. Somebody was asking, saying that 41mm is a bit on the largest side. It's actually the top ring is 41mm, and the case itself is 39. So it is very, very comfortable on the wrist. And the way the lugs are designed is that it really slopes in and conforms very nicely to your wrist, and presents I guess a smaller feel than you would traditionally have with a 41mm.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Just to inform you, I have a very small wrist here, so yeah, I mean I can put it on again and show you how it looks like. There you go.
It looks good.
It looks fine actually. Yeah.
I mean, you want a bit more space to be able to see everything in all its glory, right?
Yeah. Well, we do have this piece here. Come over to the shop and give it a try.
Yeah.
Nothing beats trying the watch yourself. Okay.
There's another question, by the way.
Yes.
We go to TPHG, your favorite topic.
Yes, TPHG. Yeah, I saw that question.
Yeah, we did that last year. We did that several times already, but we probably don't have enough friends yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for the brands that do take part in it and do get appreciation in it and do win awards, it's absolutely fantastic for them and to gain some presence in the market. So that's great. But as far as Horage is concerned, we've been a part of GPHT for a number of years. And every year, we do all our own in-house movements. The K1, now we have the Tourbillon, which we also put in last year. And nobody on that board had sort of batted an eye. And as Andy said, we maybe don't know enough people on on the inside to make any sort of influence. But we're getting more recognition throughout the community. And at the end of the day, the community and those that support you are the best voice of appreciation for our work. And we're happy just going our own way.
Side profile. Do you see that?
It's out of focus. There you go. Yeah, so any other questions, or did you want to ask us anything else, Sugi or Adi?
Yes, one final question.
Yeah, final question. Yeah.
I mean, I'm as a retailer, as also as a watch lover, I would very much interested to know the brand vision for the next 5 years. What is the long-term view here for the brand? Where do you see yourself 5 years, 10 years down the road?
Okay, before you guys answer, I'm gonna say this. I think that many more people will know about Horage within the next 2-3 years.
After this video, right? After this live stream.
Maybe. Okay, maybe after this video, but more specifically because of the kinds of watches that they've been producing and will produce, and the fact that they are approaching watchmaking in a way that is attractive, I feel, to watch lovers, watch collectors, and I think more and more people will start to recognize that. But okay, over to you, Andy. Let us know your vision for the next 5-10 years. What do you see for Horage as a brand?
To be honest, it's not an easy question to answer because as you said, we are very unbiased. When we reach, currently we make a couple of hundred watches. When we reach probably 3,000, that's a good number. It's not a huge business, but when we manage to keep going with our approach of being independent, having top quality products at an acceptable price range, that's what we think is good for us and appropriate for us. And I would say just keep going what we do right now and get better and better with every year doing that. And out of a sudden, the people, as you said, will recognize that we do not have an artificial approach behind what we do. It's really about making a very good traditional product, about making sure that interesting functions like a tourbillon, which was unreachable for a lot of people, can get in a wider community. That's what our job is, I think. And that's the vision, to do that. And
to keep investing in engineering, because during the quartz crisis, there was a huge loss of know-how. And there's a very limited amount of individuals in this industry that can do these things. And it's very important that brands like us continue to do what we do so that we can educate and ensure that there is a future knowledgeable watch industry.
You know, Adi, you're in the business for a long time, and I think we both agree that nobody needs a watch to read the time, but it's a very, very comfortable thing to do when you can do that. When it's accurate, you're happy about that, you expect that. But at the end of the day, mechanical watches are a very nice hobby. They are a very nice hobby to be in. And I think Horage should be the go-to address when you want to add a very nice product, a well-engineered product, to your list of hobby items which you bought over time. And I think that's what we want to stand for. We want to be the go-to address to do that. We are not, are we an investment? Perhaps in 50 years, I don't know, or in 10 years, nobody knows that. But what I can guarantee is that the people can have a lot of fun talking to us, wearing our product, coming here or enjoying conversations like this here, because we are totally transparent. There's nothing to hide for us. Everybody can look at what we do.
Guys, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you, and Sugi, I think the Tourbillon 1 is a nice watch and all, but there's something coming up over the horizon, which I think you guys.
Well, there was a sneak preview earlier.
Basically, a micro rotor watch. So micro rotors are not very common in watchmaking. There are a few brands that have micro rotor movements, and Horage has put a lot of effort to develop something new for us that we will talk about next time, probably in a month or so. When we
like the difficult stuff.
Show like this.
Well, I think Horage has been very active as well in terms of updating us in the developments of the movements. You know, so join them on the Facebook group as well. For us as well, we'll try our best to update everybody as well.
Yeah. In
terms of the status and developments of the K2 movements.
Yeah. And if you guys are in Singapore, if you happen to be at ION or Suntec City, you can come by to Red Army Watches or Watch Wonderland to have a look at the Horage range. I think you have quite a few models.
Yes,
here.
We have about 15 in each points. And yes, the Tourbillon is here now, so you guys are welcome. There's a question about whether we'll be displaying the Tourbillon in Suntec or ION. We'll rotate it because there's only one at the moment. We'll get back to you on that, Jeffrey. We'll send you a DM.
Yeah.
And
one of the other things that you could possibly see as well as this box, which I really love. There's one here available that you can check out. There's also a very nice piece called the Solar Wind meteorite dial, 42 millimeter. That one has a very interesting case with articulated lugs. That one is as well one of my other favorites from the brand. So you can check out all of it.
This is my favorite.
This is your favorite. Okay, right. Well, guys, thank you.
Before we go here, Adi, I just wanted to add in something before we go. Tourbillon 1 will actually stop taking orders for it on August 1st. So this is.
Oh yes, that's right. That's right.
You know, we only have a few more weeks left, and after that, we won't produce that anymore. It's just one edition, and so we have only 16 cost cases available. There's only 16 cost chronometer certification options available. So if you are thinking about it, definitely go and speak to Watch Wonderland, and possibly they can come up with putting one on your wrist, and we're happy to hop on a call and answer anybody's questions as well in the interim.
So yeah. I mean, we do have an offer for all the live viewers today. But
offer? What do you mean? Like I guess something
special offer for the Tourbillon, but we will not reveal it here. So please DM us, message us on Facebook. You have my numbers as well for some of you guys.
Okay.
And
this is new. I didn't know you have a special. You have what?
Yeah, it's just coming from our side.
Okay.
It's Watch Wonderland and Red Army Watches.
Can I have that offer too?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
There'll be a premium for you.
I didn't know about this. Are you guys like in cahoots or something? Because no one told me about this offer thing.
No, it's just something that we decided earlier.
Okay, all right.
Last minute kind of offer, which was approved, and but it's coming from outside, so it's not from Horage, but Red Army and Watch Wonderland will be bearing the cost of that offer.
Okay.
To everybody. So just DM us, maybe quote IsoChrono as the code as well, maybe.
Oh, IsoChrono, that's me. IsoChrono. That in the comments, I believe. Then Watch Wonderland will get back to you soon. Right?
Yes. Get back to you as soon as we can.
So guys, it's in Switzerland in Horage. Andi and Landon, thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. We're gonna do this again, I think. Yeah.
We should. I love this.
And since we have 100 viewers, is that correct, Ben?
How many?
So next, no? Okay.
What?
So next target will be 100. Okay.
What? We didn't get. Oh, no, you're lying. We got more than that. Yeah. All right then. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, and see you guys on the next one.
Yeah. See you guys.
Thank you, everybody.
See you
next time. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.